Hi everyone, Jim with CD Nova Instruments, and today I'm looking at the Thermo Scientific Model 5030i Sharp, comparing it to the Thermo Scientific Model 5030iQ, the next generation Sharp. What I'll do is just go into the menu structure and look at a few of the menu items, starting with the 5030i unit. Accessing the menu, there's the main menu button in the left center. That will take us into the range menu, integration time, 24-hour average, cal factors. If you look at the cal factor screen, it'll show you the PM background coefficients, the sharp background coefficients, and the nephelometer background coefficients. If I go back one screen, I can go into instrument controls. This is where we can control the pump, set the pump flow on or off, control your heater, filter tape control, you can advance it, volumetric conditions, data logging settings, set it to 1 minute and 1 hour hourly average, communication settings for Modbus, I/O config, and screen contrast and service mode. Service mode will take me into on or off. I can set that service mode, and if I go back another screen, I can go down and look at the service mode that I've activated. This will take me into the calibration features for the temperature, RH, pressure, vacuum, flow cal. Look at the flow cal, you can do an auto or manual calibration. The mass calibration. This is where you use your foils, your foil calibration kit. Detector calibration, NEFCal, analog out calibration for voltages if you're using a voltage output on your analog output, analog input cal. You do a display pixel test, a foil verification. You simply put the foils in and verify the reading on the foil. I can restore the user cal defaults, the factory defaults. If I go back, I can look at the alarms menu, instrument alarms. It'll tell me how many alarms I have up in the top right. Detector alarms, NEF alarms, relative humidity, pressure flow, concentration. Go up to diagnostics, look at that. It'll tell me the program version, voltages, motherboard, interface board, your diagnostics for your voltages on your detector and your nephelometer. Nephelometer boards, voltages, relative humidity, temperature, pressure, vacuum, flow volume, detector status, nephelometer status, analog input readings, digital inputs, relay states. You can test the analog output voltages, 0 to 10 volts, 0 to 5 volts, 0 to 1 volt, instrumentation configuration, and the contact information for the factory. At the top of the screen, it has these pre-programmed buttons, which you can just simply press and go straight into the range menu, averaging time, diagnostics menu, and the alarms menu. There's so many different menus you can access through the 5030i front panel interface with the push buttons. Just to give you a quick overview of what that looks like. And if you need to get back to the main screen, just push this top left button. It takes you right back to the main screen. So if we go over and we look at the next generation 5030iQ, it's a different platform with a touchscreen. So on the very left of the screen, they have calibration, data, and settings. So if you go into the calibration menu, we can look at the calibration factors, intercept, backgrounds, slopes. If we need to go back, just hit the bottom left triangle button. Back again, we can go back to the home screen, go back into the calibration menu. You can look at the calibration history. look at calibration values, maintenance mode. We can go back to the main screen. We can look at the data. We can view last hour, 24 hour. We can user define it. We can go into advanced data setup. But if I go into the last hour of the data, it'll bring it up, and it'll bring up the columns for particulate matter, nephelometer, sharp. Here is barometric pressure, and you can see this column is populated by some readings, and it shows over here every minute it's producing a reading every minute. But if I touch the word graph at the very top, it'll actually graph out that column of data, so I can look at this in real time. You can see it just advanced. So as the instrument's running, you can use this to help with diagnostics, or just see the data as you're sampling. And you can do that with any of the columns that's being recorded. So here's another one for vacuum. Here's another one for the, let's go back over. Here's another one for ambient temperature. Just a flat straight line, 37 showing. So it's a great way to look at the data and do some diagnostics. Beta counts is another one, so you can look at the beta counts. So a great feature on the new 5030 IQ, the next generation Sharp. You can look at the last 24 hours too, and you just simply graph out the barometric pressure. And it just shows you the last 24 hours of data. You can see it's a lot more populated. Advanced data setup. I can go into data logging setup, and I can set my variables. For example, you can go period 1 minute. You can erase all the data records, but if you go into select data logging variables, you can pick and choose which ones you want, like just selecting or deselecting which ones you want to record. There's flow, temperature, barometric pressure, nephelometer temperature, mass temperature. So lots of choices on what you want to data log in that menu. Go down to the settings screen. It's got measurement settings, instrument settings, configuration, communications menu. Here is where you set up your analog I/O if you're using voltage outputs, or if you're using digital, if you're using the Ethernet port, wired TCP. Measurement settings. You can look at the range, set your range in the screen, 24-hour, concentration units, instrument settings, set the heater temperatures, your filter tape control, which is popular in the Sharps, where you can have it advance every 24 hours or sooner, 12 hours or 8 hours, just by selecting the time, start time. Plenty of screens to go into. Very versatile. So basically the calibration screen, the data screen, and the settings screen on the new 5030 IQ series Sharp. And if you get lost in the menus, you can just simply hit the top left home button. It'll take you right back to the home screen. And another feature that's been updated in the new 5030 IQ Sharp is the front data detector has been put back into the front of the instrument. The nephelometer is very similar to the 5030i's at the top of the unit, but they've moved the tape detector assembly to the front of the instrument, much like the original series 5030 instruments were designed. So easy access from the front panel of the rack when you have this unit mounted in the shelter. And tape control, here's your mechanism where your beta detector is located. And the head assemblies, pretty much the same mechanism. It will lift the head, advance the tape. So the settings are much easier to access from the front of the unit. So that is the 5030 IQ. This is the 5030i. And that is the Sharp Thermo Scientific. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. Thank you.